Welcome to the LEC post-game lobby. I am Quickshot, joined by Vedius, and in just a moment, Schalke's Odoamne. Vedius, it has been a long and interesting day. Odoamne, welcome to the post-game lobby. Just before we dive into some of the conversations, did you manage to watch the Fnatic versus Mad Lions game?
Yeah, I did. It was, I didn't expect it to be so one-sided, but yeah, I did.
What did you think of Fnatic's performance? Vedius and I were talking just before we started the segment and talking a little bit about how Fnatic maybe pushed a little too hard. Law asked the same question to Odoamne. So what's your take on how Fnatic handled that game?
Well, to be honest, I kind of watched this from like minute 15 onwards, and by that time, Mad Lions was already pretty ahead, but I was just kind of looking at the drafts. I didn't really understand how Fnatic ended up with like those picks, because I am not sure what happened, but I didn't really like that Fnatic went back to the Cho'Gath experiment that they tried last week. And like, to be honest, when they played Misfits, it backfired horribly, and they just won kind of like randomly. And I was kind of disappointed that we went back to it like this week, because Cho'Gath is not really like this like self-sufficient like laner, especially when they get like Renekton and all and this. And I don't know, I think it was kind of a deserved loss just from the top lane matchup, because I don't think you're allowed to like draft stuff like that.
It's very interesting, actually. Fnatic memed themselves. They even took a screenshot of that game against Misfits with the missed Shockwave and the missed Rupture, and they're like, let's try again. It didn't work. I mean, Vedius, what's your take? And of course, then Mad Lions getting that fantastic Baron that ended up, sealing the game for them.
Well, so, one of the things that the cast has talked a lot about, and I'm curious for Odoamne's thoughts on this too, I felt like Fnatic's comp outscaled. Because when you have Senna or Orianna, you have such a huge range advantage against what Mad Lions had drafted, that as long as you take the game pretty slow, I think they can get to a point where they should be fine. But what surprised me then was this was a 21-minute Baron that they forced against Renekton, who had 2 or 3 items at this point, and just demolished them. So I'm curious to what was your overall impression of the comp from Fnatic, Odo? And then do you think that they should have just waited a little bit longer? Or do you think that there was actually no point that they could have won this game?
I mean, the comp makes sense. Yeah, you outscale, but at the same time, it's like at one point do you outscale? Because in the Misfits game, we saw that they outscaled at like minute 40. But
true,
here is I don't know. You just can't kind of get away with like the Cho'Gath, like picking it like just like that and hoping for the outscale, because you get punished just like this, just like how they got punished against Misfits, they got punished again. And it's not like they're playing against a bad team. It's not like they're playing against Schalke 1 and 10, well now 2 and 10, and you can hope that the game goes late and you just like outscale, because at the end of the day, Mad is like the first place team in the LEC, and it's just kind of wishful thinking that you can just pick Cho'Gath and expect, like Odoamne doesn't really have the greatest reputation for stomping lanes and stuff, but you can't. Yeah. You can't be like so disrespectful that you assume that this guy just kind of has no hands, that he can't like punish you for something that is just so greedy, to be honest.
So?
Odoamne.
I think that the comp kind of makes sense, but like if you get a different top lane pick there, then you can salvage it and look for the outscale, as you said, but Cho'Gath is kind of like the worst pick you can get to like look for surviving and outscaling a game.
So?
Odoamne, I absolutely love hearing the smile and the happiness in your voice, especially when you're even memeing and flaming yourself, right? It's not like they're playing a 1 and 10 Schalke. You forgot that you picked up a win today. First of all, I cannot believe that we managed to book you for PGL. We made a request several days ago and said, hey, would you join us? And then on the day that you're joining us, you guys obliterate G2 esports. You've never been one to pull your punches or not say what you're thinking, but dude, what the hell happened today? Where did this Schalke come from? And where the hell did G2 go?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we played like that spectacular today. We still kind of made some early game mistakes and gave up like Herald and some objectives. But honestly, it was kind of a bit of a draft difference here, because I just don't see their comp being better than ours, because Kama was, in my opinion, kind of like a useless pick, considering we can just kind of pick Ornn and go from there. So I think we kind of stepped up, but at the same time we still kind of had the same typical like Schalke mistakes that put us to where we are today.
Talk to me a little bit about where like Abedage's performance came from. I mean, Gilia's popped off as well. You know, Abedage and the Zia just played exceptionally well. And also, why is it that the only 2 wins that you have is against Fnatic and G2 and nobody else? There's a lot of memes. The Twitter game has been very entertaining today. But yeah, you know, what's your take on those 2 angles, Abedage and then the fact that the only wins are against Fnatic and G2?
I mean, Abe played great today. I think also the comp kind of made it really easy for him to play well because he had like two big fat tanks in me and Nautilus kind of soaking up pressure for him. So he kind of had not a hard time team fighting. And especially I think G2 carries were kind of trolling. Well, maybe not Caps as much, but I think there were like so many fights where they were kind of contesting mid-prio and giving us free fights when they don't have like flashes on key members, so it's really easy for us to just kind of like run at them with like even numbers or even numbers advantage and just kind of like start a fight like that. And I think they just kind of contested like pretty much everything that there was to contest, even when like the timings were quite bad for them. And as for the fact that we only get wins against the top teams is like, I mean, if we're all the way at the bottom, might as well make it spicy for G2 and Fnatic, you know. Time to bring in the clown show and just just kind of ruin some playoff hopes.
So Odo, last split, Schalke also didn't have the easiest time, and I remember actually us having a conversation with you where you were actually like very down in the dumps. It was like a very difficult time for you, and I can imagine this is also a pretty difficult time. But I am curious, and I'm sure many fans are curious as to how you're actually doing this split and how like you and the team environment, and because like losing a lot obviously sucks, but how are you dealing with it and how are you doing, my friend?
Thanks for kind of the personal question, but I don't know. It's been kind of hard because. Off-season didn't like go great for us for like what we had in mind and what we wanted to do coming into like summer split, and with the meta shifts and stuff, at least for me personally, kind of like took me away from like a position where I was able to contribute to the performance of the team for like the first couple of weeks. And I don't know, it kind of like put me in this bad mindset or like this kind of toxic loop where I felt that every game was kind of like do or die by my performance, and that coupled with top lane not being like so impactful this split compared to like last split, it kind of like sucked me into this kind of like negative spiral, and I kind of like struggled for I think like 2 weeks, like week 3 and 4 I think I had really bad performances because of this. And I don't know, I just kind of tried to get over it and try to just kind of like play and trust more in my teammates that I don't really need to, you know, be this stand out and have this like spectacular performances every game, because I kind of got to a point at one point that I just felt that I really need to play out of my mind and able to like get wins, because it like once you get so down the hole, you start kind of start getting like super desperate for like everything, you know, and you just kind of like start overthinking. Maybe you should do more, or you need to do this more, or you need to do this better, you know. And I kind of took like all the failures as kind of like a personal thing, and it just kind of spiraled into me performing kind of like worse and worse in like those weeks.
I can understand that. You put a lot of self-imposed pressure on yourself and feel a responsibility to do more. I really appreciate the candid response and the fact that you were able to recognize, you know, trust in your teammates, have that conversation and make some adjustments. I hear a little bit of chippiness, happiness. There's a smile to the conversation today, and obviously it's been a successful day, but what do the next weeks mean for you, Odo? I mean, yes, you're 2-10, but the next team's 5-7, 5-7, 6-6. I mean, is there a glimmer of hope here for you and the Schalke org, or, you know, what are you looking at for the last 3 weeks of games?
Well, yeah, if you look at the standings, mathematically it's still possible, and we can just keep playing our like playoff spoiling game that we're doing right now to kind of like try to kind of break the hopes of like everyone that we keep on facing for the next couple of weeks. I don't know. I just try to keep it as a like game by game basis, because I think that we're not really in a position to be like, oh, let's just win every game in a row, like 5 games in a row, and we make playoffs easy, you know, because even then it's still not like guaranteed. And I think that that kind of like mindset kind of bit us in the butt a bit in like some of the losses that we had this split, that we were like, oh, this is like a winnable game, like on paper, you know. I think that the best we can do is just try to take it game by game and just play for like ourselves to like look good and kind of like give a better impression of like what we did so far. And I think that if that happens and we kind of like transpose our games from scrims onto like stage, then yeah, it might happen. And if not, then that's just it, kind of.
Odoamne, I really respect that, actually, and there's a realistic approach as well. You know, looking game by game, understanding. Honestly, it sounds like there's a little bit of happiness and joy to be gained here in eliminating other teams' chances. We just showed the standings a moment ago, and I know, Odo, that you have a personal stake in enjoyment in some of these. So hypothetically, because the race for playoffs is so incredibly close, and we know only 6 teams are going to make it, if you and the Schalke organization could pick up some surprise wins in the next 2.5 weeks, and you could eliminate, let's say, 2 teams from the playoff race, which 2 teams would you like to eliminate?
You don't have to answer that question.
Yes, good point. You are allowed to opt out, right? But this is a fun experiment for me and for fans at home. So, Odo, if you're comfortable, but I'm not forcing you.
Okay, I mean, just for the sake of comedy, I mean, we don't play G2 and Fnatic anymore. Actually, no, we do.
You've got one more game.
Fnatic game.
Fnatic.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. I mean, just for the sake of comedy. How insane would it be if G2 and Fnatic sit on the couch with the Schalke boys and watch some playoffs?
Do you know what? Especially if because of the fact that you're 1-0 over Fnatic, you're 1-1, obviously, with G2. I mean, if you pick up another win against Fnatic and you're the reason they get eliminated, I mean, that'd
be a great viewing party for
That
Worlds,
is insane. Okay, I'm going to turn to Vedius.
We can all just hang out on Discord.
I'm going to turn to Vedius for a quick second. And Odo, I'd like you to answer the same question after. But Vedius, talk to me a little bit about the state of the LEC at the moment. We're seeing, a week and a half, 2 weeks now of, let's say, questionable games from many
I just
teams.
think our league is kind of weak right now, if we're being honest. Quickshot, like, it's something that we've talked a lot about this split, where I think that when G2 last year were at their peak, that trickled down into elevating the other top teams, who at the time were Fnatic and Origin, and then that would trickle down further into our middle of the pack and then bottom teams. And I think ultimately that made our teams like pretty competitive, but also you had very clear expectations around what was going to happen. This split, I feel like that there have been so many issues with understanding the meta, individual performances, like knowing what should be prioritized, just how to play the game right now, that there are so many inconsistent performances that it's difficult to even get a good read on which teams are good and which teams aren't, outside of Mad Lions and Rogue. So I think the LEC right now is quite weak. And I really hope that we just get a little bit more consistency. Because like, even Origin, I was meant to be like, nice, they went 2-0. Now they'll come into this week and we'll finally get to see an upward trajectory. And then, boom.
Yeah, what was it? That was what Ender and I said. I mean, Odoamne, what's your take on the state of the LEC at the moment?
I agree with Vedius. I think it's in quite a weak spot, and I don't really understand what happened with traditionally like the top teams like Fnatic, G2, Origin. It just kind of looks like a lot of teams are just imploding, and right now the teams that are just not tilting are kind of at the top of the standings. Yep. Because like looking at it in spring, you wouldn't say that like, Rogue or Mad are these like fantastic teams. Like sure, they were good, but right now it just looks like everyone kind of went in a battle royale, and Mad Lions and Rogue are kind of the last people standing because everyone else just kind of tilted out of their mind.
Yeah, definitely the case. So, I mean, thank you for the response. Let's turn our attention now to tomorrow, okay? Let's talk about LEC is back. We've got 5 more games. We're going to be building up towards our match of the week, Rogue versus G2. Before we talk about that, especially after today's result, playing up against Misfits tomorrow, Odoamne, are we going to see another heartbreak loss for a potential playoffs team? Are you going to take Misfits down?
I mean, of course, that's kind of the only thing that like fuels me right now. So might as well get another dub there.
Vedius, let's talk about G2 versus Rogue. G2's 7-0 over Rogue, but not this G2.
I mean, it's
not
very
this one.
difficult to make an argument that G2 stand a chance based on their recent performances. Like, I think Grabs made an excellent tweet where he was just like, that was the worst game we've played probably ever on stage. And he believes that they, based on their week of practice, they'll be able to fix things for tomorrow. But I'm not as confident. I think that Rogue right now are looking in a perfect position. Not that they had a perfect game today by any means, but yeah, I have my faith that G2 is like rapidly declining. I think that, as Odoamne says, like a lot of things are imploding right now in every direction in our LEC team, so it's hard for me to still have faith in them.
Odo, G2 versus Rogue, what's your perspective and who will win?
Just for the sake of Fiesta, I think G2 will win. Because I mean, I don't think like today they were like that horrible. I just think that the draft and what they like prioritized was not so great. And I think that like honestly, if they get like a different draft, like completely different of what they had today, the game will look a lot different. Because I think given like the tools that they had today, they kind of like made mistakes, yeah, but I don't think they really had like a lot of tools to like begin with. So I think that like if draft goes different, they can win. But I don't think it's like, you know, G2 is like so bad right now and Rogue is so good. It's like such a like, you know, clear win, because I think G2, based on like, I mean, traditionally G2 can kind of just show up, because if you guys remember, what was it? I think when they got knocked out, well, not knocked out, like knocked down into the losers bracket by Mad, they kind of had a bad week of drafts with like they got 3-0'd, and then they went to the finals and they 3-0'd Fnatic just by having better drafts and Fnatic having worse drafts.
Yeah.
So they kind of like swap positions, you know? So I think that can still like happen for tomorrow.
Well, we'll have to find out if they can. I don't know quite if I believe in it as much anymore. Odoamne, we're nearing the end of the post-game lobby. We haven't had too many chances to speak to you or Schalke, and I know our fans haven't heard too much. So, Odo, you know, do you have any message for the viewers at home, your fans, Schalke's fans, anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Oh my God, I'm actually put in such a position that I need to make this like grandiose statement, but oh my God.
There's no pressure, absolutely no pressure.
I mean, to the guys that can like kind of like still support us or like enjoy watching us play, not really like watching us lose, because that's kind of sucks and that's a bit bad. But thanks to like the guys that like still support us and like me as well, because when we have like these really bad weeks, you guys have been kind of like sending us messages and being like kind to us. Usually, especially given that like usually most people are just kind of like bashing you into the ground when you're playing bad and they just say you like suck and all of this stuff. But there's like the fans out there, or like the really nice ones, that message us and write nice things to us. It actually really matters to us a lot, and it makes kind of like our days a bit better, especially when we were like 0-9. When you guys send me messages when I'm 0-9, that kind of makes my day. So thanks to everyone that's kind of like nice to not only to me but like to just like teams in general when they lose.
Odoamne, that was beyond perfect. Thank you so much. It is always a pleasure talking to you. Genuinely, you're one of the most, likable, amicable, most entertaining players to speak to. You always speak your mind, and we really appreciate today. Congratulations on the win. Go savor up that insane Reddit thread that you guys deserve to celebrate today. All right?
All right. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here with you guys.
That is it from us here on LEC on day one. Fear not, the LCS is back with Friday Night League in just a couple of hours. Be sure to join us tomorrow, though, for more League of Legends action. See you tomorrow. And Odo, we'll see you on the Rift tomorrow, all right?
See you, Odo. Thank you once again.
Yeah. See you guys.
Bye.
Here's the magical journey, but Tricky just deleted by Special. Excel get the dragon, and now the chase is truly on. Special chunked out once again. The temper fate hits the Banshee's veil, and Special as cries.
Kneel before Vlad.
Melisse is going to shuffle forward. There's the Emperor's Divide. Ups is going to flash across the wall, straight into the face of Cabochard, LeBron, Skeens, and Melita. At the moment, it's a 4v5 in favor of Origin, and already 2 of them have died. The showstopper comes back. We can't have no damage. Full HP, they've got no damage. Here comes Snoop Dogg. Looking to put some damage down. Gets 2! Watch the shockwave, you've got to look and see where the ball is. That's 2! Hands on 2, Abedage's going to go down, but he manages, he's alive! Shields, Abedage's still alive! Only Caps now survives 4G2.
Teach them to respect Ascension.
And they found their second win against the other finalist from Spring Split.
But now coming to the side, Dan as well. Look for that barrel setup. All eyes on Dan. Does he have the damage necessary to get it done? Because Kame certainly does it. Just already dropped down. And Rover saying you want to walk in the face person with all out. Be our guest.
I shall eclipse the world of man.
Fiona already taken down. But looks in the pit in theory. He can still spin a Rome. Look at that damage. That's what you want from your Nectin. They put all their gold into his back pocket, and it's finally paying off. Reckless running for the hills, and Fnatic gift wrapping a Baron for the Mad Lions, just like that. Mad Lions reminding us why they play at the top of the table.